Pokemon Parallel Emerald is a new ROM hack that has a lot of similarities to Inclement Emerald, with even more awesome stuff like difficulty modes, map changes, new areas, Mega Evolution, new moves, gym leaders, and more, and I'm going to be trying to beat it with only Hoenn Pokemon. If you enjoy the video though, do leave a like. Let's try and hit 50 likes in today's video. Also, I do have a Discord server, linked in the description if you want updates on future videos, and much more. Parallel Emerald actually gives you a random choice between any starter Pokemon in the briefcase, so I simply reset until I could get my boy Mudkip. Now, I normally Nuzlocke games, but trust me here, I tried. I couldn't even get past the 4th badge in a matter of days, because this game is pretty damn tough. We go to fight our rival Brendan, and he has a Trico who goes down to a couple of tackles. Then when we go back to Little Root Town, Birch gives us our own Pokedex and we get some Pokeballs to catch our first Pokemon of the run with Tailo and Cacnea. And then thanks to an older guy in Oldale Town giving us the fishing rod, we can get Barboach and Corphish as well. On our way through Petalburg, our dad wants us to help Wally catch his own Pokemon, and he gets a Pawniard instead of the traditional rolls. I guess he's in emo now or something? But anyway, we trundle along to Route 104 where I pick up a Wingull and a Shroomish before heading into Petalburg Woods where this Acrogron is harassing a worker. We beat him up and save the day before heading to Rustboro City. But before we fight the first gym, however, I get an Anorith on Route 115 and a Nosepass in Rusturf Tunnel. Now for the first gym leader. And it's not Roxanne. It's actually Greta from the Battle Frontier. She has dark types now. So I lead with my Tailo as she leads Impidimp, which goes down to a couple of wing attacks. Next in is Stunky, who takes out Tailo, letting me bring in Barboach and going ham with Mud Bombs. Houndour then takes out my Barboach, but luckily Marshtomp can clean it up. And then is Murkrow, so I let Marshtomp faint, so I'm able to bring out Anorith to take it out with the Smackdown, and Pawniard her ace goes down to some Leech Seeds and Bubble Smacks, getting us our first gym badge. Split 2 begins with the same Devon workers' goods getting stolen by another Acrogron. This time we have to give chase. Unfortunately we don't get anything special around here, just an Ultra Ball, and the Pokénav after getting the goods back. However, Mr. Stone then asks us to deliver a letter to his son Stephen Stone, and that he should be somewhere near Dooford. A quick boat trip later and we find ourselves on a redesigned Dooford town, and we go to fight Oh. Okay. Brandon is the gym leader? Wait, Brendan? No. Oh, the Battle Pyramid leader. He starts out with Lileep, so I go with Anorith, who can kill with a Bug Bite. He brings out his Breloom, so I go for some chip before going down to Bullet Seed. I then send in Swallow, who goes off with an Aerial Ace before switching to Wingull and Snover to try taking it out with an inverted Water Pulse, but he reads me really well and switches Ferroseed in. I have to go to my Breloom and go for a triple kick with a Mark Punch as Shiinotic comes in. Luckily for me though, a couple of hits from Swallow takes it out, and then Snover goes down to Water Pulse, as last up is Thwacky, who goes down to a pair of Plucks. 2 badges down, we then go into the Granite Cave and meet up with Steven to give him the letter, and he recommends us to go to Slateport City, where there is a bunch of cool things like TMs, resist berries, and vitamins. However, I'm playing on an EV-less mode, so they don't really matter. We go to the dock to deliver some goods to Captain Stern, but it turns out he's in the museum. However, Team Aqua is also there, and they want to fight to get the goods away from us. We beat him up, however, and Archie tells us that we'd better not stray into their paths ever again before leaving and taking his goons along with him. Now, normally we'd get to head towards Morville City, but not before a new interaction with Green, or otherwise known as Midori, in this game. She's basically another rival for us and wants to fight us on our way to a new place called Froster Islands. When we get there though, she wants to fight, and she leads with a Donphin, so I bring out Pelipper to set up some rain, and hit it with a couple of strong water pulses. I then stay in on the Watchog and go for another one, and get the confusion as an air/crit kills it. Swallow comes in, and thanks to her awesome bulk, I can stall it out somewhat with my Pelipper's roosts. Midori then switches to Torracat midway through, but it can also be taken out easily with some water pulses as it, Araquanid and Swallow all fall to the big toilet bird. We then get to progress as per usual now though, going up Route 110 where Brendan is squaring this up, ready for a fight. He then starts out with his Frostmoth, so I lead Pelipper again, which manages to 2-hit KO with Water Pulse. I then let Pelipper go down to his Stantler before bringing in Breloom, who can go for a big Sky Uppercut to kill. His 8th Grovyle comes in, so I go for a quick Mark Punch before a Brave Bird from Swallow decimates it. I then finish off the fight with Swampert by taking out both Turtonator and Trubbish. We get to Morville now, and it's good because we can get a couple new Pokemon in Surskit, Boltoy and Electrike, as well as finding a Gooning Zigzagoon. Some really much needed coverage at a good time. Now for Watson's gym, but not before I fight against Wally. And unlike a lot of other Hacksaw games where he just has a Roltz or a Curlier, he has a fleshed out team here with 5 Pokemon, so let's be a good role model for him and beat him up. He leads off with a Fletchinder who goes down to a Rock Blast from Anorith. Gardevoir comes in, so I go for Aqua Jet to get Chip on it before bringing in Crawdon. But then Wally reads me and switches his Gardevoir out for Roserade, forcing me to also switch to Swellow, who kills his Gallade after switching in. I get ballsy on the Gardevoir here and stay in, but he brings out his Pawniard so I can just switch Swampert in. But Wally switches yet again to Roserade, who takes a little over half from stomping tantrums. After yet another Wally switch, I just let Altaria go down before bringing Crawdaunt back in to take it out with a couple of hits before Swampert and Swellow finish him off. Now for the electric leader, Watson. He comes at us in a double battle with an Emolga and Toxtricity lead, so I lead my Anorith and Claydol. I go for Rock Blast and have to get a specific roll to kill it, and at the same time my extra Sensory with Claydol to do good damage to Toxtricity. After an Aqua Jet and Mud Bomb, Toxtricity goes down and Anorith quickly follows suit, as I go for a strong double target into Rotom, doing about 2/3 as I take some damage from it. After another hit from Breloom, Rotom then takes out Claydol, so I can bring in Nosepass to at least be a decoy and take a hit while Breloom takes out Rotom. This results in Watson having a Brain Fade and hitting Breloom with a Chloroblast, while it then goes down and some more Bulldoze Chip spreads around the field as Swampert and Whiscash finish him off. We then get the other Hoenn starters here in the game corner as well, which is the beginning of this game getting a lot more fun, as we have what I think is the best Pokemon in the game, Blaziken. On our way through Flannery Split, we pick up a Mawile, which does always carry huge power in this game thanks to the availability of ability-changing items. On our way through Meteor Falls, however, we run into a Sableye and Team Magma trying to harass this guy for his precious Meteorite. Unfortunately, they take it from him, but we are also tipped off about the possibility of something happening at the top of Mount Chimney. Turns out that Team Magma are here trying to figure out what to do with the Meteorite. Tabitha goes down with no hassles, but then Maxie comes packing some heat, and we get to see Blaziken's first pop-off of the game, taking multiple kills en route to an easy win. But now we get the Meteorite and take it back to Cosmo, who gives us Rock Slide. That'll come in handy for the Fire Gym, right? Wrong. Turns out that the 4th gym in this game is actually the former Battle Frontier leader, Annabelle, and she comes with mostly normal types in an inverse battle. These battles are where every single typing is flipped on its head, so steel types are weak to almost everything, whereas a normal type is super hard to counter. This can actually in some cases make things easier, so let's prove that by showing Annabelle just who's boss. I power up punch and get a speed boost off as well, meaning that I'm now fast enough to outspeed and kill Frozlass. After another power up punch, I can get Manectric in to bring it down with a Thunderfang as it falls along with Jinx. I then get one more hit off on Snorlax before I bring in Sableye, who just gets off a hit before dying and letting me bring out Crawdaunt to take it out. Titan Null then comes out and Toxics before U-turning into Ursaluna, who manages to take massive damage from Crunch. I go for a risky double protect here though, which proves to almost be for nothing apart from the Ursaluna burning it to death. But between Armaldo and Masquerain, Snorlax and Titan Null go down easily. On the way to the 5th gym, we get ourselves a Lileep, a bulky tank which is kinda something we've been lacking for the most part. But now to go to Petalburg, it turns out that our dad is away on duty for something and the substitute gym leader is not here yet. The gym condition for us, however, is that we have a Mega Ring, which is available back in the Frosty Caves. However, to even use Strength, we have to go back to an old friend, Brawly. He has the Strength HM and wants us to fight for it at full strength. This fight is shaping up to be an insane sweep, with Swallow starting the job and Blaziken finishing it though, and we get Strength from Brawly as a result. Now for Frosty Cave. This puzzle took me a lot longer than I'd like to admit. An hour! All because I didn't think to go one different direction and thought I'd already gone that way. Nonetheless though, we know I'll get to fight Spencer, and he carries a sick Hail team. His fight gimmick though is that it is completely random as to whether his fight is a doubles or singles battle. Ideally we fight the singles team. Spencer leads off with Arctozolt, so I start off with Blaziken and power up Punch to get a boost and then take it out with a Brick Break. Whiscash takes out another hit before killing Blaziken. This lets me bring out Swallow, who goes in with Brave Bird. He brings out Choice Scarf Mamoswine, so I go to Mawile on the Icicle Crash before he dupes me out by switching to Lucario. I go to Masquerain to get some chip on it to no avail, but then Claydol manages to take it out before going down to the Ninetales. Luckily though, even with an Aurora Veil up, Mawile's Iron Head manages to take it down, and Mamoswine wants to Earthquake, so I switch out to Swallow, but he then leaves it in against it, so I can just take it out freely before bringing in his Mega Abomasnow. Unfortunately though, it goes down to a single liquidation, and he then gives us a mad lore dump about the discovery of Mega Evolution. Heck, he's probably old enough to have seen it. Look at how old this guy is. Like, come on! This dude should be in a home, not fighting 10-year-olds! Now though, we can go over to the gym and take on the substitute leader, Noland. Masquerain gets off a huge Bug Buzz on Weedy here as he U-turns out to Lopunny. But it turns out it's Hisui and Zoroark in disguise, and we get burnt to a crisp by Flamethrower. I go for Detect with Blaziken to get a speed boost and then take it out with a knockoff. I then Detect to prevent the fake out from Lopunny before going for Broke, taking out Lopunny and Beware before getting duped again by Zoroark. Luckily though, Swallow finishes it off by Brave Birding, Porygon Z and Weedee in consecutive turns, getting us the balance badge, as Wally's father also yells out to us as we go to leave the gym before giving us the ability to use Surf thanks to HM03. Finally now we get access to Gardevoir, and with its coverage it'll be really useful. On the way up to Fortree, however, we discover this new settlement called Crestwood Town, and we'll be going through for now, but we'll come back later as this place has 3 little houses where you can obtain the choice items. But due to the fact that none are available before the 6th, 7th or 8th badge, we can't get them just yet. Now we go into the Weather Institute because Team Aqua are up to no good, and we have to fight some grunts and then Admin Shelly. Siege starts off with a Masquerain but wants to switch, so I go for a good stab X scissor to hit the Feraligatr hard here. I then go to Credilli to get a Storm Drain boost, and rather than switching to Masquerain on the Gear Drain, she stays in and lets it go down. She then swings across to Gyarados, and we go hard to Swampert to whack it with a solid Earthquake. I then protect with Blaziken and Gil with a big Brick Break after getting the speed boost. Big C comes out, so I swing through to Seppi on the Water Pulse, and we get confused, and thanks to some bad luck we hit ourselves and go down. But I bring in Cradily and she swings across to Masquerain. Luckily though, I saw this and brought out Armaldo and whacked it and Clawitzer with a massive Rock Slide. Cradily then takes it out and Drampers in, and from here Blaziken can just finish the job. After this we get a Cast Form and head out to 118 where Brendan awaits across the bridge here. He leads Leafeon in grassy terrain, which is a bit scary, but Tropius takes it out with some Air Slashes. I then let it go down to Garbodor so I can bring in Nosepass to Thunderwave, whatever will switch in. I then pivoted across to Absol to Flygon to take out Weedee with a Night Slash and a Sucker Punch, and then Rapidash comes in and I go for a Sucker Punch before letting Absol feint to Play Rough. I go to Iron Head with Mawile to try taking it out, but because of my Ockerberry it doesn't see kill with Flare Blitz, so he switches to Garbodor, who takes big damage before walloping us with a Stomping Tantrum. I then stay in on the dash expecting a Flare Blitz, but he sees overlapping kills with Wild Charge and fails to kill. Lucky me, as Rapidash also goes down. I then go to Nosepass on Altaria and go straight to Blaziken because I know he's switching on it, and then Blaziken can set up to take out Sceptile. And Altaria's in for the last time, and I go for some chip, letting Blaziken go down and taking it out with Nosepass to get the win. Now we go to Fortree City where the 6th gym leader is waiting, but it's not Winona, it's Lucy from the Battle Pike. She commands a team of terrifyingly toxic Pokemon, and her gym fight also has a specific gimmick. All Pokemon that aren't either poison type or don't have an ability that takes advantage of poisoning are made to be poisoned. This means that moves like Hex and Venoshock will always do double damage. At the same time though, this was probably one of the hardest fights in the game for me, just because I had a lack of counters, really bulky mons against poisons, and much more. Either way though, enough rambling. Let's fight. She leads off with an Overqwil, so I bring out Flygon, who Earth Powers, as she U-turns out to Naganadel. So I switch over to Gardevoir thanks to Kebia Berry, always lives the hit from Venoshock. I bring out Flygon on the Sneasler, and I know it's going for CC, so I swing over to Sableye. Unluckily though, she U-turns to Drapion, and at least we can go to Flygon on the knockoff and get within a whisker of killing it with an Earthquake, taking it out straight after. This brings in Gengar, who thanks to its Mega is terrifying. We Brave Bird it sacrificing Swallow to the onslaught, and bring out Blaziken, who thanks to Jolly Nature outspeeds and kills with a Shadow Claw after just one boost. Aerial Ace takes out Sneasler almost, but thankfully Masquerain can handle the rest of the fight well enough, along with Sableye getting the Venom badge, as well as access to the Choice Trials, which we'll get to soon enough. Now heading towards Lily Cove, we see some Aqua Grunts heading towards Mount Pyre, so we follow in pursuit. Along the way though, we get some cool things like this Milotic and a Torkoal. The Grunts prove no trouble, and the expert at the top who wants to test our skills as to whether we are strong enough to take back what is theirs wasn't much hassle either. Now it's time for the hideout takeovers where we have to fight the evil teams and try and stop them. First up on the list is Magma Hideout, which is full of grunts with their fire Pokemon, but we push through to Tabitha, but to be honest, Blaziken destroyed him. This will quickly become a common theme now. Next up though is Maxie, and unlike Vanilla, we actually have to fight the Groudon before him. This is always 3 levels higher than us, and primal formed, so it'll probably destroy anything we could throw at it. Except Blaziken. Thanks to counter and a focus sash, we can destroy it before we have to fight him for real, in a similar vein to Cyrus in Renegade Platinum. He leads with a Flower Gift Cherim in the sun, so I protect with Blaziken before killing with an Acrobatics. He brings in Torkoal, so I go for a strong Rock Slide before going down, as I bring in Flygon who kills with Earth Power, before Aerodactyl also goes down to a pair of Rock Slides. Here though with the Scorching Sands, I don't have a clue as to what Maxie was trying to do. A small AI bug maybe? I really don't know. Either way, we kill it, and then Flygon feints to Trevenant's Horn Leech. This allows me to try and kill with Whiscash, which goes exactly how you would expect, as Gardevoir takes it out. Last up is Mega Charizard X, who goes down to a couple of Earth Powers from Swampert, and Maxie goes on a tirade before storming off in anger, as we steam through a completely optional random fight before heading into Aqua Hideout. If you know Aqua Hideout, you'll know that the Master Ball is here. This could come in handy for something later maybe, before bumbling down to the bottom where Matt awaits. Unfortunately for him, he's pretty weak and gets slapped. Now though, we get to go all the way to Moss Deep City, and fighting Tate and Liza is next on our agenda. But not without a revamped gym puzzle yet again, and this took me a lot longer than I will ever admit to, but we eventually got through it, before wandering up to the twins. This is obviously a double battle, but along with that, there are multiple gimmicks in this fight. Psychic Terrain, which prevents moves like Sucker Punch and Fake Out, Trick Room to swap our speeds around, and Wonder Room, which swaps every single defensive stat with the opposite defensive stat. Luckily though, we have an IV changer which minimises our speed IVs, and a nature changer to make us as slow as possible. I lead with Banette and Crawdon as they lead with Hatron and Oranguru. A Shadow Claw with Mega Bayonet here and protected with Crawdon, anticipating a fairy move. I then basically repeated this on the next turn, and Crawdon lives on a sliver of health. I then go for another as Oranguru whips out the Expanding Force, doing massive damage as I let Banette go down, as Mawile comes in, taking out Scrafty in an instant as another Expanding Force hits us. I then switch Camerupt in as Marowak takes out the Crab. Ground Gem Earth Power smacks the whack, and Fell Stinger throws a big boost my way. I then protected with the Cactus as Earth Power came within an edge of killing Slowking, before going down to Expanding Force from Bro as Cacturne lived the Sludge Bomb. From here, Nosepass and Mawile get to finish the job, getting us the 7th gym badge with one more to go. We found our dad here in Moss Deep. It turns out he couldn't run far enough away to get milk before we entered this place with a rainbow coupon to get ourselves our very own pseudo-legendary. I decided to beg on as Salamence has a lot more viability later than Metagross in this game, and one more free maxi fight later, we find ourselves in a sticky situation, as we get the Dive HM and dip in a seafloor cavern where, you guessed it, Kyogre resides. And after another Shelly fight and some wild strength puzzles, we find ourselves eyeing down Kyogre, but not before Archie stops us, challenging us to a fight. Of all things to lead against the Aqua boss in a rain fight, I lead Torkoal to set the sun and get rid of any water type boosts and whatever may come our way. As I go for a big Inferno, as we also dodge the Hydro Pump in the process, and after a Protect, Ludicolo loses out to the burn. I get ballsy on Whiscash and Soul Smash, as Earthquake takes me to within an edge of death, but Torkoal is just too slow and loses out. This does let me get Sceptile in though, and I can go for a Giga Drain, and he brings in Luminion, who gets big buffs in this game but still lives out to Leaf Storm. Pelipper then takes Sceptile out with a Hurricane, but I can bring in Manectric to Mega and kill it, Beartic, and Sharpedo. Now we have to fight Primal Kyogre, but honestly, Ludicolo wipes the floor with it. We hear from Archie that there's some major trouble outside as it's storming and beaming down with sunshine at the exact same time, so we head down under to Sootopolis City where Wallace is waiting in the Cave of Origin. After saying that Rayquaza's probably at the Sky Pillar, he whisks us away there to awaken it from its slumber as we fly back to Sootopolis just as quickly to witness one of the best cutscenes in Pokemon. After this, Maxie and Archie are pretty tender and apologise for their wrongdoings, but now though, Steven recommends us to take on Glacier in the 8th gym. Yep, she's no longer an Elite Four member, but instead the final gym leader. The puzzles here were altered quite a bit and were kinda tough, but nothing insane. Unfortunately though, her team was the exact same as Blaziken wreaked havoc on every single Pokemon on her team, taking kill after kill, and getting the 8th and final gym badge, giving us a clear path to the Pokemon League. The victory road in this game is vastly different now with ice and strength puzzles, which is really cool, and a fresh spin on the vanilla games. Now though, we get to the Pokemon League, where rather than it being an Elite Four where you would fight them in order, it's an Elite Four where they pick out of 6 possible members. On the hardest difficulty setting in the game, you actually have to fight all 6, but on hard mode, which I'm playing on, it picks randomly. I just kind of wanted to bring what I felt were the 6 best Pokemon for us through the entire run for the league, as I think that's fair. But before anything, Midori shows us around the new Pokemon League building, which has so many things, like a new move tutor and much more. Anyway, that's enough yapping, let's do this. First up on the hit list is not Sydney, but the former gym leader Hoenn. He commands a rain team of course, and starts off with Big Toxapex. A big bulk up lets us take out the Toxapex with an Earthquake, as it sets up some toxic spikes. I know that we aren't dead to Hydro Pump here from Luminion, and we luckily also dodge it, taking it out with a big Earthquake before Swampert comes in and ruins our fun. No matter though, I can bring out Ludicolo to force a switch to Galizapod as we get some chip off with a Giga Drain. I then go to Mence, who takes the first impression really well before I go some D-Dances, and I sweep the rest of the fight as a result. Next up for us to take on though is Drake. He leads off with Dragapult, so I lead Absol, who can go for a big Sucker Punch to crit and take out the pole. Latios then follows a similar fate while we manage to hold on to the Aura Sphere. As I sack Absol later in the fight to keep pace, and Mega Blaziken can then go in with fighting moves to slam Hydreigon into the turf. Mence comes in, so I go hard to Ludi on the big guy, and thanks to our Focus Sash, we live the Aerialate return, and nearly kill with an Ice Beam. Mence then revenge kills as Pult takes us out with a Shadow Ball, but thankfully Blaziken finishes off the fight, swooping through Pult, Center Scorch, and Aggron. Third up is the former Hormonster Tucker. He leads a Grimmsnarl who wants to get up screens, but I have a Fire Chicken who can break said screens as I get duped out by Mawile before losing out to Hawlucha. Thanks to the Sash though, Ludi can still take it out before bringing in Swampert on Togekiss, but unfortunately an Air/Flinch means that we can't win the matchup, but as I bring out Ment, he switches into his Tapu Koko to resist the Fly coming in. I then go for Flygon to Earth Power, but he U-turns out to Espeon who still takes solid damage, so I go for another Edge Mawile to within a whisker. Luckily though, Absol can take it out with a Sucker Punch before Koko comes back in, and while we take nothing from the future sight, Togekiss eventually falls to its poisoning, and Koko gets outdamaged by a Salamence, picking up their third win in the Elite Four. Finally for us though is a familiar face in Spencer, who comes at us with a completely different team to what he did in Frosty Cavern. This time he leads with a Sand team. He leads off with his Shell Armor Torterra who doesn't quite go down to a single Ice Beam. We Giga Drain to take it out and get a little bit of Sand Chip back as he brings out his Terrakion. I try weathering the Mega Horn but lose out, giving me a chance though to bring in Blaziken, and I go for Earthquake while he switches out to Rampardos, a silly move as Blaziken then stacks on a Power Up Punch whilst killing. He then brings in Aerodactyl and I go for Brick Break as he takes me out with a good Wing Beat, but I can go to Absol to finish it off with Sucker Punch as Terrakion comes back in, so I let it go down as well as Swampert after taking out Terrakion to bring in Excadrill. Excadrill is choiced, and rather than switching on Flygon, I get to kill with Earth Powers. Because I'm also choiced though, I have no choice but to switch out to be able to kill Skarmory with Flamethrower and win the battle. Now though is the champion, Steven Stone. He's been waiting for us the whole time, at the pinnacle of the Pokemon League, with legendary Pokemon, and his insanely powerful Mega Metagross. It sure would be a shame if, I don't know, a little chicken from Moorville City couldn't sweep him, right? Power up, power up, power up more. Earthquake, Rock Slide, Earthquake, Poison Jab, Rock Slide, and one more means we are champions of Parallel Emerald with only using Hoenn region Pokemon. This was a really fun ROM hack and I strongly recommend you all to try it out for yourselves, and it was also really refreshing to play a game without any real rules for a change rather than nuzlocking every game on the planet. If you did enjoy though, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing as it really helps me out a lot, lets me know you guys all enjoyed the video. But let me know if you want me to play anything else in the future particularly, and if you're lucky it might come someday. But until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace.